next speaker is none other than Sylvie Sommerville. Sylvie Sommerville, she's going to be handling business challenges and, apart from that, reasons for failures and recommendations. She is from Synapse, and she's going to be taking us through that particular topic in the next 10 or so minutes. And allow me to officially introduce her so that she can go straight to her presentation once she gets here. Sylvie Sommerville joined Synapse in July 2018 with diverse experiences working for private, public, and non-profit organizations, both on and off the field. She currently holds the position of Director of the Synapse Academy. Her past experience includes launching the Malawi branch office for Hope International, a network of microfinance banks and savings program, and spearheading the development of several new products at Hope, including the SME loan product. Most recently, Sylvie conducted several research projects for the UN, academia, and impact investors on topics around entrepreneurship, SME development, and sustainable finance. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our next speaker, Sylvie Sommerville.
Thanks so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I have to say, I'm not a doctor and I'm not an inspirational speaker, so not great to follow these two, but happy to be here. I don't know exactly who's in the room, but I'm imagining many of you are entrepreneurs and many of you are aspiring entrepreneurs. Actually, myself, I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, so I'm not really qualified to speak on entrepreneurship, but it is my passion to support entrepreneurs and small businesses, and my plan while I'm here in Kenya to start my own business, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, happy to have you here. Happy that you're in the session on challenges, because if you're here, it means you are willing to do whatever it takes to overcome these challenges. So I'm going to quickly go through, let's do this first, right. Just some main challenges. If you read pretty much any report on small businesses and the challenges they face for Kenya or across the world, this is what you're going to find. And hopefully, if you've been listening to our doctor here, you shouldn't be facing these challenges because you already knew that they were coming at the beginning when you started your business, so you dealt with them. But some of the main challenges fall into two areas, technical and personal. So in technical challenges, availability of capital has been probably the biggest challenge that's faced small businesses today. In Kenya, happily, this is kind of going away because there's a lot of investment now in this space. So while this has been a big challenge in the past, the bigger challenge with capital now, and I'll get into that, is financing and accessing capital, which is the second one, which I think is potentially the biggest challenge that you'll ever face as a business owner. And third, and Dr. Jane Esser talked about this, is finding the right people. And this has been a big focus of a lot of reports recently, that finding the right people at the beginning of your business, if it's just you, you probably need to focus on capital, market, your idea, your strategy, your plan. But as time goes on, you're not going to be sustainable if you don't have a great team. You can't be the only person that's able to run the things you want to run. So finding people and keeping them is one of the biggest challenges as your business is growing. Entering the market, of course, this is a huge challenge, just to find the right products and make sure that you're continually innovating to keep your products fresh. Otherwise, you might have a great product, but it might only be relevant for 2 years. And then you've got to figure out a new plan for how to continue. Personal challenges, managerial skills, of course, just the competence of you as a business owner. This is one reason a lot of businesses fail. Time management, you might have great ideas, but you might not know how to get them done. Loneliness and lack of a support structure. And I want to go into that in detail. But these may seem like small challenges if you haven't been lonely yourself as an entrepreneur, but all the entrepreneurs I've ever talked to, they say this is probably their biggest challenge, is trying to do something great when nobody around you maybe understands what you're trying to do or why. So there are a lot of challenges, and I could talk about all of them, but I really want to just focus on two. Where did I just put the clicker? Here it is. I really want to just focus on two, because these are what we at Synapse see from the 1,000 entrepreneurs that we've trained around the world as being potentially the two greatest challenges, particularly faced by women entrepreneurs. So Synapis, if you haven't heard of Synapis, is a training academy, an accelerator that's trained over 1,000 businesses here in Kenya and a couple hundred businesses around other countries in the world. We're expanding quickly, we're adding new products. Switch to this one. All right. And I've been talking to a lot of our female entrepreneurs since I started this role because I'm really passionate in particular about equipping women entrepreneurs. And these are the two challenges that keep coming up over and over from the people I talk to: capital barriers and psychological barriers. So the first biggest challenge, there are a lot of challenges obviously when it comes to fundraising and the whole sphere of how to get appropriate capital for your business. But I wanted to focus on this one because I think it's particularly relevant now. And the challenge is positioning yourself to get funding without fundamentally changing who you are or what your business is doing. I think probably a lot of you have heard in the last few years in particular this buzz around social impact. Your business has to show that it's changing people's lives in some way or another. And an entrepreneur recently said, this quote on the bottom, "I was just running a regular business, but I couldn't get any funding until I repositioned myself as a social business." And then the funding was just kind of flowing in. And as we talk to our entrepreneurs about this, I think this challenge is actually one that's pretty easy to overcome. And the reason is because your business already is delivering impact. You just have to figure out what it is. And so the solution for getting over this one, but just look for the investor that's passionate about what you're already doing. So for example, I think sometimes people think social impact means you have to be reaching 100 of the poorest of the poor, or you have to be working with young girls or putting kids in school. You know, something that's sort of like traditionally impactful maybe. But impact, investors are looking for impact metrics like, are you creating jobs? Are you adding something valuable? Are you creating something beautiful that you're then adding to society? So we were talking to a lady the other day who runs a media company and communications company. What kind of impact is she having? Well, if she's creating ideas or bringing truth into a wide lens in Nairobi, that's, you know, bringing these ideas, changing people's mentalities, that's a huge impact on society, even if you can't quantify it as numbers of people or whatever. But this is an impact that investors look for. Another type of impact, we have a lady who's a baker. She's trained many bakers in Kenya. Her main impact metric is providing jobs that are what's the word I'm looking for? Jobs that aren't seasonal, that aren't going to be taken away quickly. So she's providing jobs that people know they can come and show up for work and they're not going to be fired and they're not going to lose their job next month, and they can take home a paycheck on time every month. And that's really an important impact, just caring about your employees and treating them well. So the way to get over this barrier is just to really figure out, what are investors looking for? How can you talk about what you're doing in a way that's true to who you are and the mission of your organization? And then look for the investors that care about that kind of impact. So this shouldn't mean an overhaul of your business. It just means thinking strategically about what kind of value are you doing? Because if you haven't thought about that question, think about it now, because that's really the driver of a successful business and the driver of how investors will want to invest in you. If you can really show that you have a mission of how you want to change the world and your business is helping to contribute to that mission, there will be an investor who will be interested in your particular mission. So don't change yourself, but just do your research to find out who those people are that care about what you're doing. The second biggest challenge, and I think I wanted to talk about this one today since it's a women's conference, because I think this one is really particular to women entrepreneurs, is psychological barriers. I'm sure men have them too, we can talk about it later. But for women, I think one of the biggest challenges is defining what success looks like for women entrepreneurs, and then claiming and protecting that success, even in a world that's still largely dominated by male entrepreneurs. So I was talking to one of our entrepreneurs the other day. She's young and she's amazing. She's running quite a successful honey farming business right now. I think it's going to be quite big. And she was saying that oftentimes she has to send her male colleagues to run errands or deliver things, because if she goes herself, sometimes people won't even talk to her or they won't keep the meeting. That's a huge barrier to get over this feeling that you're not going to be listened to, that you're not going to have a seat at the table. Another one that I was talking to who runs a communications company, she said, and the quote is at the bottom, she says, "All I can do is hide in the shadows and quietly build my business." which is really heartbreaking, because if you're building something amazing, that should be showcased for everyone. But I think sometimes the mentality as women is, if we're really successful or really driven, sometimes people are scared by that. And so sometimes you have to kind of work on your own until you're ready to show what you're doing. And I think I was talking with some of our entrepreneurs about this question of success. The key challenge here is really knowing what success looks like for you. Because if success for you includes things like also having a family, there are many elements as a woman that are part of this definition of success. So running a really successful business, having a great family, spending lots of time with your family, there could be many things in that definition. But you need to know what it is and then go for that. Because if you don't know what it is, people aren't going to really understand how to take you seriously of what you're driving towards. And I think it's important as women in general that we have this conversation about what does it look like to be successful. It might look different for women, it might be a different definition, but we need to make sure we understand what that is so we can really drive toward it. Because if you know what your definition is, it's a lot easier to be confident about what you're doing. If you don't really know what you're working towards or what you want to be, it's easier, I think, to lack self-confidence. So this challenge, this is a hard one, and I think the world is happily moving in a direction where this challenge is getting easier for women as more women enter business. And there's so many amazing female entrepreneurs here in Nairobi, and I really applaud you because I think it's difficult, but you're doing a wonderful job. But this challenge, I think the main thing that we can do is to support each other. I think relationship building is key to getting over this barrier, because if you don't have a safe place, this goes back to the loneliness piece, but if you don't have a safe place to talk about how you're feeling, you're going to feel like you're the only one who has that experience, which isn't true. So many people are having this challenge of, running into difficulties dealing with clients that are run by men, or not being given the respect you deserve in a meeting, or not being taken seriously, or being told you're trying to do too much by having a family and having a business. So the important thing is to really build community with other amazing women entrepreneurs. And we have a booth out there, and if you want to come talk to us or anyone else here, I'm sure there's a lot of communities and networks we can